Go across. Are we here with the lowdown of the latest June auto sales data which has come in, and of course the latest stocks in focus as a result of that? Are we with stocks and how have they fared?
The auto sales numbers have started to come in, and before deep diving into the specific numbers, let me give you an overview of how the companies have fared, with Hyundai and Maruti missing their estimates. But M&M Auto, Ashok Leyland and Eicher VECV segment has performed extremely well, and that is the reaction we can see in the stocks as well, with the inline stocks being Escorts, Kubota, M&M Tractors and Hero Motorspades, whose numbers have come in line. Talking something about the specific numbers, Maruti has sold around 2 lakh cars, which is around 20% up on a yearly basis. But when you see the monthly, there is a decline of around 18 to 19%, with M&M Auto outperforming its estimates and selling 1,06,000 units, and Hyundai coming down at around 51,000 units. It is also important to note that there was a loss of production of around 13,900 units because of a fire incident at the supplier's manufacturing facility for Hyundai. Talking about the CV segment, has performed surprisingly well, with Ashok Leyland beating its estimate and Eicher Motors VCV also beating its estimate, selling around 19,194 units for Ashok Leyland, and Eicher Motors selling around 9,500 units. Also, when we talk about Hero MotoCorp, we can see that there is a 2% decline on a yearly basis in the sales number, and they have sold around 5,40,000 units, with the tractor segment with El Nino impact coming in that could be seen in the months going forward. The current month seems to have fared seemingly positive, with 13,695 units being sold for Escorts and 59,935 units being sold for M&M Tractor.
Okay. Thank you for that, Avi. In fact, let me bring on board Ashwin Patil from LKP Securities, joining us this afternoon to discuss exactly that. Ashwin, it's been a while, so thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. Give us a sense. Four-wheelers, passenger vehicles is where probably some bit of caution is there with regard to the numbers. How are you reading into those two numbers, Hyundai and Maruti?
Well, as far as Maruti is concerned, I would say that the numbers have come below their expectations, mainly on the month-on-month basis. YOY, it's okay. I mean, it's not a huge growth as well. So on a month-on-month basis also, we can see some sort of decline in this month. Mainly, because the monsoon months are not really very strong as such. But, we think that the demand slightly is moving down on the rural side. We have seen a bad June in terms of monsoon. So the low end, the vehicles of Maruti, as well as on the, slightly the compact segment, I would say, they have faced the brunt. And that has led, to this kind of numbers, because, they both these segments contribute about 40 to 50% of their total volumes. So I would say that that is the reason why, mainly the petrol, the prices, the petrol price hike, the fuel price hike that has happened over the past couple of months, that has also been one of the reasons. And secondly, the rural sales have not been that good because of below than expected monsoon, or I would say huge deficit in the month of June. So Maruti, on a month basis, they have underperformed. And if you talk about Hyundai, I mean that 13,900 units loss they had because of fire incident at one of their vendors' place. So that is one reason. But otherwise also Hyundai also is selling in the same ship. So I would say that both of these companies have actually underperformed, the market's expectations as far as, this particular month is concerned.
Worry, Ashwin, would you expect this to probably also spill over to next month maybe or next quarter?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, next quarter is one quarter to watch out for, because if you see, July is one of the months which, accounts for about 32% of the total yearly monsoon, because the southwest monsoon is of about 80% of the total yearly. And out of that, 32% comes, in the month of July. So that, and 29% in the month of August, 20% in the month of September. So all these, these 3 months are very, very important as far as the monsoon outlook is concerned. And definitely because of that, the rural impact will be seen for not only for Maruti, Hyundai, or also for other sectors like tractors and two-wheelers as well. The entire auto industry will be, watching out these 3 months very carefully. And if we report deficit monsoons in these 3 months, then we can see auto sector going for a toss. So this quarter is very, very a cautious one, and everybody will be expecting that we have some good monsoons to recover or to offset what we have seen in the month of June. And definitely that can be a big lever for the overall auto industry, and not only for Maruti and Hyundai.
Yeah, I mean, it's a concern, right? Discretionary, at least at the lower end, the affordable vehicles is where some of the pain seems to reside. Escorts and M&M tractors, though, largely inline numbers you would assess, Ashwin?
Yes, they have come out with good set of numbers. I would say, better than expectations, because June was like a month where the farmers build up inventory for a good upcoming season of monsoon, which will be seen in July, August, and September. So the readiness of the farmers is seen in this particular month. But going forward, we are definitely concerned, as I said earlier, because if this doesn't pan out well, I mean, the monsoon doesn't pan out well, then we can see some sort of dip in the July, August, and sales numbers. And as it is, we have seen a very strong base of FY26. So where the tractor numbers were grew, the tractor sales grew by about 24%. So I would say that on that base, as well as on a weak monsoon, because El Nino is not yet that strong. It is just a simple El Nino that has been set in. The super strong El Nino, which is expected to happen in the month of September onwards. So we are definitely slightly positive at this point in time, thinking that the way the monsoon has panned out over the past few days, if such a monsoon continues in the month of July and then August and September, then we can have a good, strong auto numbers. And the tractor outlook, which most of the companies have given, of about 1% or 2% growth, we may see surpassing those numbers if monsoon pans out well. But if it doesn't, then we are for a toss.
Okay. And when should one expect the timing of the impact of this to be? So how should one assess numbers for both farm equipment as well as for passenger vehicles? When will the full impact get translated? Would it be mid-August? By then there'll be better clarity, end of August? What should we look at in terms of timeline, Ashwin?
See, because if you see the El Nino, which is expected to set by September, so the main impact can come on the Rabi crop sowing. Kharif may escape a bit, but Rabi can have an impact. So the real test will be from September onwards. Because monsoon, if the Kharif crop is good, not good, but slightly better than expected, then we can see a good second quarter. But after that, maybe like as far as the thing that you are saying about timing, so maybe like September onwards will be the real testing time. And the Rabi that is known for the winter crop, we can see some sort of negativity in the Q3 and in the following quarter of Q4.
CV is the other space which has actually done very well for itself, right? This month, what do you think is driving the CV demand, and is it sustainable?
Yeah, CV demand, we are into a good CV cycle at this point in time, I guess. So because CVs, over the last 6-7 months, they have started showing green shoots, because before that they were not performing that well. But now we are moving into a deeper CV cycle of positivity, where a CV cycle is of about 2.5 years of strong sales, and then a dip of about approximately same time period. So now it's like a time of of some sort of activity that is happening in the infrastructure space, as well as the mining space, construction, etc. And therefore this CV demand is panning out well. Also, within the CVs, I would say the LCVs have performed really well for companies like Eicher Motors and companies like Ashok Leyland. So for both these companies, if you observe closely, then the LCVs have performed well, because the LCVs had not had a great year about 1 or 2 years ago. But now with this QSR, and all this e-commerce platform and all proliferating into the corners of the country, this LCV demand is on an up move. So within the CVs also, LCV demand is looking better. than the MHCV. But MHCV is also definitely panning out well, and I think this demand can be sustained going forward.
And Ashwin, the other piece is two-wheelers, and only Heroes come out with numbers, largely inline set. But what are you penciling in terms of the two-wheeler expectations?
I have seen only Hero
Yes.
coming out with
Yes.
a
It's
set of
only Hero.
numbers.
You're right.
Yeah,
You're
the
right. It's
other
only
two
Hero.
or three, the likes of Ather, TVS, Bajaj, etc., are yet to come out. So on a broad sector, we cannot comment. But definitely, if you look at Heroes, the numbers are actually below expectations of 2% decline and 5% month-on-month decline. So I think the two-wheelers also will start facing the heat as the El Nino sets its foot deeper into the country. So going forward, I think the next quarter as well as Q3 will be the 2 quarters to watch out for the two-wheeler sector. But export-oriented sectors or EV-oriented companies like Ather, Bajaj Auto, TVS will be in a much better position because of the EV proliferation that we are seeing and the government support that we are getting for the EVs.
Last piece is with regard to this Delhi EV policy, right? How are you looking at that policy? How realistic is it to execute this kind of a policy at a ground level? Are there challenges? Who will the winners be? Any views or thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. As you are saying, on the EV policy, where it has got just, announced in the city of Delhi. So, other cities also may follow suit. But the readiness of the government and the readiness of the infrastructure is really very important because we do not know. I mean, the expansion of the infrastructure, the charging points, etc., are not up to the mark at this point in time. So I think Delhi is just accounting about 2 to 3% of the total volumes of the two-wheeler industry, but still that is a big number. And before the two-wheelers, the three-wheeler industry is going to get turned into the EVs, space. So even over there, like Bajaj Auto and all, they will have to pull up their socks. But I think the readiness is not there because it's too sudden, too quick. The pace at which the thing is announced is really surprised us. So I think it will take some time for all the major OEMs to turn into a pure play EV kind of on front of the two wheelers as well as on the three wheelers. So demand definitely will get impacted over there, and the readiness is also really very challenging. So we need to wait and watch how it pans out as the date comes closer to us.
Charging infra, right, Ashwin? Is that the right way to read it? Perfect. Okay. Thank you, Ashwin, for that. Gives us a very good lowdown with regard to autos, and always very good speaking with you.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you in a very short break.